yesterday there were hearings on basically PBS and NPR funding that the Republicans in the House set up. Trump has said earlier this week that he would, quote, love to see federal funding cut for public broadcasting. It was established in the 60s. Both, I think, PBS and NPR get around $500 million in public money for public broadcasting. And, I saw there was a piece in the Free Press, Barry Weiss's outfit that she was promoting, just around a few weeks ago, backing up this idea that it's inherently corrupt, that there's public financing of media in this country. What right-wingers would prefer is the model that the so-called free press has, which is being funded by venture capitalists like Andreessen Horowitz.
Or
and
Barry Weiss's partner's family, which is the richest family in California. It's nice when you have the connections like that.
They want billionaire-funded media as opposed to media that gets funding in a nonpartisan way from the government. And now, look, it does probably limit the scope of the critique in many ways, maybe of like Empire or the deep state that NPR or PBS is going to engage in, but they still do good work. Yeah, they still do.
The BBC is even a more clear example of that's clearly a public broadcaster funded by compulsory license fee. It has its huge issues on things like Israel, Palestine, for instance. But ultimately, it's good to have a public option for news.
Right, as opposed to it all being corporately owned. But the right-wing project is to privatize it all. And they want you to think that it's the public broadcasters that are corrupt, not the ones that are owned by, say, Jeff Bezos, who kills total swaths of their opinion pages because he disagrees with it.
Yeah, or insane Zionists like New York Times.
Or you don't see the same thing, honestly, with something like NPR or with PBS. So. But they also just don't even understand what they're talking about. Here's James Comer, who just can't stop being a big dumbass in his position here.
Gomer.
Comer
the Gomer.
He was the guy on the Hunter Biden beat with a laptop from hell, whatever the hell that meant. He doesn't seem to even understand what editorial standards mean. This is him at the hearing yesterday.
Okay. Do you want to dispute anything that I said in the remaining 30 seconds?
Thank you, Congressman. First of all, I want to recognize your concerns. One of the first things that I did in coming in May was to beef up our editorial standards. I directed my editor-in-chief, who, by the way...
Why is NPR even doing editorials?
I'm so sorry.
Do editorials?
I don't mean editorial in terms of opinion editorial.
Do you even need opinion? What does it matter with the opinion? If you're a federally funded entity that's supposed to provide the news, can you not provide the news?
Of course,
fair and balanced?
Of course, Congressman. I mean editorial standards for our journalism was to beef up our editorial practices, bringing in more editors to make sure that we have more points of view reflected in every story. I've engaged in a number of actions trying to address
and my
some of
time's
these
expired.
concerns.
I've lost confidence in public radio. I don't think, Madam Chair, they should get a penny of federal funds.
Oh, he lost confidence. He was a big NPR fan before all this.
Yeah. Oh, but and when he says radio there, it's betraying it. The reality is they want a Rush Limbaugh on every radio, right? Like the more private radio stations there are, the more right wing and reactionary they can be. And there's been few things that have been more pernicious in our society than the impact of right wing talk radio. That's what they want. He doesn't know what editorial standards means. He thought it means that they have opinion, that it's referring to opinion pages.
Editorials, as opposed to what the standards that editors
hold their journalists,
which is again the things he said, a viewpoint saying, hey, we're doing an article on, say, deporting people. We're going to get not just the ADL and Canary Mission's perspective on that. We're going to get some student justice for students for Justice in Palestine's view too on it.
Editorial standards means the journalist writes the piece or works on it with other reporters. Then they have an editor who fact checks it, makes sure that it's concise.
Make sure they got comment from the subject.
Yes. Make sure that they are being careful with the information that they're presenting, and they're
Why do you even need to do that?
Just
do the news.
Yeah. editorials.
Sorry to the Southern people that think I'm offending all Southern people when I make fun of Comer's voice. That's just how he talks.
It is unfortunate. But like, in terms of other Southerners that we like to mock, is this more dumb or is it less dumb than Tommy Tuberville not knowing what the three branches of government are?
It's the same. That's the same thing.
Oh, but Brandon, we lost your audio.
Oh, yeah. Maybe refresh, Brandon.
Maybe refresh. But I wanted to hear what you had to say. Go ahead, Bender.
I'm gonna go with the Tommy Tuberville one simply because that's directly related to the knowledge he needs to do his job. Yeah.
But like, this is directly related to the hearing that he's engaging in, and he doesn't seem to have any understanding of it. I want to find this quote from Tommy Tuberville and the three branches of government.
He didn't do the work for the specific project.
Right.
But Tommy Tuberville didn't do the work required for the entire job.
Entire job, yeah. I mean, here's the quote. I found it. Our government wasn't set up for one group to have all three branches of government. You know, the House, the Senate, and the executive. So, yeah. He
there, Brandon?
left out the
Oh, yeah, I'm
judiciary.
here.
There you go.
Hey,
Well, I was
all
just going to say he should get a lesson in editorial standards from Steven Crowder.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, obviously, Steven's the expert on like making judicious decisions about what information to put out there, what to include, you know, what voices to amplify over other voices. All of our money should just be going to, you know, local African sources of information.
Oh, right. I forgot about
What was
that.
that? I only think of Nude Africa because of Robinson.
No, but it was. I think of Nude Africa. It was something else. It was from the deposition. It was Africa Today, Africa Tonight.net, or something bizarre. But I like to say Nude Africa regardless, just because it's funny to think about that race.
I only read Nude Africa for the article. I only read Nude Africa for the editorials for the for the articles.
Editorials? Nude Africa's taking our taxpayer money and it's giving its opinions?
Why can't Real News Africa just give us the news?
Yeah. It says news in the title. All right. We're going to read some IMs and get out of here. Ryan in California, PBS and NPR create programming that is not profit-driven, educational and entertainment programs. The Discovery, TLC, History channels used to air PBS-type programming. Get rid of public funding, and Nova will become Ancient Aliens. Great Performance will become America's Got Talent. That is exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, the History channel should be ashamed that they air that Ancient Aliens crap. Like, that is what this would turn into.
Okay, Senator Chuck Grassley over here. You guys are aware of his famous tweets where he always complains about there's no history on the History Channel?
Oh, I am not aware of that. But yeah, I'm with him on this bipartisanship.
For like the past
direct shot at my stream.
years, for the past like 50 years, Chuck Grassley has posted a tweet like every other week about how, oh my God, I turned on the TV and they were showing history on the History Channel. I couldn't believe it. Relatable, Chuck.
Well, sometimes they play like it's either Ancient Aliens or like a show called like Hitler's Super Weapons. Like those are the only two shows on the History Channel.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, I think if I had, you know, I would fund NPR and PBS way more. I also think that they're not really enough. We need to do things like decommodify housing and healthcare. The sort of issues that affect journalism, which is that the number of journalists employed in this country is way less than it was like 50 years ago because the money has just dropped out of it because of how advertising works, and it's not coming back. And it was a sort of coincidence that it worked out for as long as it did. You're not going to be able to ever put the toothpaste back in the tube, and it needs to be the same solutions that we do for like miners that are out of work. It's going to need to be for journalism, and so it makes it easier to have a living where you have housing and shelter and healthcare and stuff like that. And so then you don't need to make so much money to be a journalist, frankly. Right. But because we're not going to be able to do this by funding PBS. That's not going to save the media, even though we should do it.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.